and this AMPscript will be called. Now let's go with the AMPscript. Okay, what is going to happen? Okay, before going here, are you all clear what I have explained till now?
Shashi,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm clear, but I have one question.
Mhm.
When to use query parameter or when to use request parameter? I mean, I guess you have used both.
Okay, let's say I have this link, right? So whenever you are coming to, you have, which one is the colon here? So HTTPS, say I have xyz.com. This is my domain, private domain, and then even make it into xyz.email.something.com. Okay. And then you have page, oops, page name as okay, let's say unsub event. And then after that, you'll have this question mark, and then you'll have subscriber key, the subscriber that, like here in HTML email, I'm using this parameter. Okay, the subscriber key. So this will be this. Okay, equals to some value. So let's say this is a, basically, if you have to see in a very layman term, this is how the URL will work in your cloud page. But since it's an encrypted version uh, in your cloud page, then it will be this way on sub event. Okay, so instead of this value, it will use query string equals to and some encrypted value this way. You'll see the cloud page. If you hit the cloud page, you will see this kind of a. So in this case, it's always advisable you use request parameter, because the request parameter, what it does is, you do this one. Okay, so I'll just copy it from here for easy reference. If I do this request parameter is looking for this inside this QS. Okay, this encrypted version, it will basically look for this parameter. Okay, query parameter, and it will decrypt the value. Okay, this is an encrypted version. Decrypt the value, which is, I think, is, what is this, base 64 encoding. So this is what is by general rule. I think this is getting this encryption mechanism is being used. Okay, when you're using this one. Here you also need to have, I think, redirect to. Okay, which I missed. Redirect to, and then where you need to redirect is basically a function. So here, keyboard, how to learn. So you have to use redirect to also. Okay, so when you do this reference here, this one, then this will come as this. Let me paste this here. So when you're using this function, redirect to cloud page URL, so this will come here. But let's say you have this cloud page. So this is how you can also do this. Instead of cloud page URL, I'll show you another reference. So let's simply do this. Redirect to, and I can simply also hard code this, and I can simply do this as well. It will also work. So when you use this cloud page URL, it basically use the form base 64 encoding, and that encodes this full thing. This is going to translate into this. This will translate into this actually. This is the best way how you need to basically use the CTA in your email for marketing cloud. Use redirect to function and the cloud page URL, the cloud page ID. Then you can even pass other parameters like you can add, now see just what will happen. So if you have to pass job ID, then job ID, okay. So I'm just passing two parameters. I can even pass batch ID and other things also, blah, blah, blah. So this is going to be used. Now here also, if you have to append, now you have to use, one is ampersand.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it, got it.
So
Mhm.
if I have to do job ID, then again, so job ID. So let's say this is not I'm going to basically do. But if somehow, let's say, this kind of thing might happen for SMS, because in SMS you can't, this kind of a value passing sometimes become difficult because there is contact key, not subscriber key. So all the things. So sometimes either you have a cloud page in another BU, but you want to reference it from the another BU, then this cloud page URL is not going to work. You have to use this kind of a mechanism. So that time, if you have this kind of, now let's go to your main question: when to use request parameter and when is to use query parameter. So let's say if my URL becomes this way, if I can see in the URL tab, address tab, okay, if I see this kind of value, then query parameter is going to work properly because it is not encrypted, okay, and you can simply use query parameter and it will simply know, okay, query may which one is the key, which one is the value. It is from the key value pair, it is going to decode and give it the value. But always follow the request parameter, it will always be helpful. Encoding BA, it will help you with not showing to the public what value you are passing, right? When you're using QA something something. So it is always this one. I'll go always with this, not with the query. I rarely have used set query parameter. Rarely. Hmm. I always go with request parameter.
So this request parameter is going to work in both cases, right? Even if it is encoded
See,
or if it is not encoded, like a key value pair where you can see the details.
so for that, I'll simply say request parameter, okay, and then you go here, then it will give you a proper explanation, okay. Simply say it does not say it does not see the form has to be a post. It simply says the form has to be post. It is not a gate. So when you're landing on a page, hmm, what you're doing when you're clicking from the email, you're doing basically a post. Okay, so that's why it's working. Now if you do a gate, now if you uh, have two different, like I was explaining this one, this one, yeah, yeah, okay. Now either I can do a post because I said here, see what form I have to do here. If I'm doing this unsubscribe, I said the method has to be a post, not a gate. Understood? If I do a gate, then definitely, if I do a gate, then yeah, I'm going to pass this value, which I was initially talking about here, right? Question, then you say subscriber key and passing this value. Then that will be a gate method. Hmm. But your method, I'm saying a post. So mostly we always focus on doing a post because when we do a post, the payload is as a body. We are passing as a body. But if you're doing a gate, you're asking question, I'm trying to answer, but I don't want to confuse everyone because not everybody will understand the all the HTTP protocols.
Yeah,
So just
understood.
understand that always focus on use request parameter when you're sending when you're redirecting someone to a crowd page. It will always be a post. Going back, where I was, I think we deviated here. So this we were discussing, if I have to remember well, yeah, this one. So our more concentration today will be, so what happens is you clicked on unsubscribe. Okay. When you click on unsubscribe, it will look for the request parameter. Let me change this one because I wanted to explain more depth here. So I'll make it more easy here. So forget about this scripting here, okay? SSS scripting which I've used here. I'll explain that later. First, let's concentrate only this inside part. So the first here it says get the request parameter as a subscriber key, okay, and set the value here, and also give the reason why you want to unsubscribe that person, okay. So I have one reason saying profile center unsubscription that is happening, or you can give another names. Now this is a SOAP API through which we are basically unsubscribing the user. So the first object that you have to create, okay, is the execute request. Okay, it is a utility function for the SOAP API. Then first you have to execute this one. Then you have to set the property. Okay, so which execute request you want to call? You want to call log on sub event. Hmm. So the property is name. Okay, and the name of that property for this execute request is log on sub event. Another object I have to create. I created first object. I have another second object that I have to create. So create object, API properties. Now I'm going to create API properties. Okay, for this log on sub event. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign those properties. What is the name? The name is subscriber key. What is the value? The value is at the rate subscriber key, which I have copied from here, assigned from here. Now I have to add those parameter. Okay, this was the API object property, and I added this parameter to this LU prop. So this was LU prop. I created or assigned the key value pair. and add it here. Hmm. Then another, if I have to create another one, because I said subscriber key and region. Now I have to add another region, another attribute property, right? So another attribute property is region. So I created a region and added a region key value pair and added to that particular property, which is the API property. And then I said invoke object. Which object I have to invoke? This one is basically this execute request. Okay. And overall status and this request ID, I'll go with this into detail. Now I had copied for you people to follow few URLs yesterday. One, two, I'll share these links to you guys. Okay. I'll share this request parameter also, because you had this question where you need to use request parameter and when to query parameter. This one, before I move this one, so I think here you have the request. I don't know, query parameter. Okay, of course, I'll do this query parameter as well. You see this. Okay. Retrieve the value from the query string based on the define. So query string, it has to have a query string. Okay. You people can try. You see this example. HTTPS question j equals to team. Then you are using query parameter. Request parameter. This is how you do. Okay. It's more. I don't want to go into details. Anyway, if you see, I copied this code from here anyway. Now when you're working with your subscriber object, okay, through a SOAP API, what all things you have to keep in mind is the what errors you get. Hmm. What I simply see people, what they do is, like I have also said this one blog article, I simply said this much. I am not going to simply copy this code, okay, add it to my landing page, and I'm done. Actually, no. I'll basically go very deep. The deep, it means I want to also understand if any exception that arises. So there are a lot of exceptions. See, 12,000 to 12,099. Hmm. So there are so many exceptions that do arise. There are so many uh, values here. Okay. So if the email address that I'm sending, what I can also do is I'll show you the properties that are defined here. See, you have batch ID, list ID. I simply copied subscriber key. Hmm. So here you can also have email address, job ID, list ID, batch ID, and if even if you go through this page, I think here they have mentioned a lot of things. So batch ID, list ID, where was that? This is through SDK, through PHP also they can do this, and this is a .NET sample code. If somebody is doing with .NET also, they can do it. I think I had one more. If I get that link also, I'll post it here. So most important thing is invalid email address. It is rare that this will happen. Okay, like you're passing here. Say you had this, so you're just passing subscriber key. You might also like of having email addresses. If you want, then you could have added your email address as well. But I don't want to complicate this one. I'm simply using subscriber key. So if that email address somehow, it's rare, it might happen, but somehow if the email address does not match, okay, it will give you this error 12,000. See, it means you might also find that subscriber key not found. So though it's again rare if you follow this one, like using underscore subscriber key or at the rate subscriber key, but if during your HTML handling and AMPscript handling, if the value gets manipulated somehow and you're passing wrong subscriber key here, okay, which is not valid, then you will also land into this error saying that subscriber key not found. If this triggered spam filter also, you'll find that, okay, where your global unsubscribing list, if this is happening also, this will happen. So there are a lot of errors. I'll say I don't want to go here. So most important thing is best practices. I see a lot of people using list ID, batch ID, okay, job ID. This does not have to have a property in the all subscriber, though it is okay if you have it in the all subscriber. But for me, simple fact is, if I simply use subscriber key, it is going to work. Okay. If I want to use list ID, batch ID, I'll basically use it in my data extension. I'll have a it's a logging data extension, okay, where I can log, especially when an exception occurs. So the point was regarding the exceptions. In AMPscript, we don't have a mechanism for try and catch. So if I have to write SSJS, I have a mechanism to try and catch and handle the exception. But here with AMPscript, if there is any exception, you don't have a mechanism to handle it. So lot of people who write cloud in the cloud page, they write AMPscript, and they don't know how to handle the exception. Okay, their cloud page basically lands into 500 error, and is because you are not handling the exception properly. So here, what I did here, this one I guess here, okay, I use try catch, see, try block here with AMPscript, and I have a catch block here. So any exception that occurs, it will be handled. So I'm simply saying writing, I would not write, or I simply say I'm simply writing on the cloud page. I can either I can store it in a variable saying this one, so where, okay, so I'll say error message equals to hmm, e dot message. So here if I do this, and then I can assign this variable to uh, AMPscript variable also. Like I have used variable dot set value. I can simply use this into variable dot get set value. So let's say this one is, I said var. I don't require var. I just because I'm setting. So I'll say this one as set value. So some error code in AMPscript error message, what value I have to assign is the error message. So if I assign this, then I can definitely in the page here I used AMPscript, sorry, SSS to print the value, write function. But you can simply, if you're not with AMPscript, so simply what you could have done is you could have simply had a paragraph or something, let's say inside a div. I could have simply paste that message. Okay, so this will be, so what was the error message? So I can simply show the error message if there is an error message. Now I also have a success. So how to define the success? I'll go slowly. Till now, hope you understand what I'm saying here with the how to handle the exceptions. Following me till here?
Yes.
Now, what the error message I was trying, I see, I simply do not run this code and see. I see if I just do a positive path, say I added a proper value. Say I say here I was adding b2.sasi. If I show you here, instead of here, I was using b2.sasi here. Okay, and in my all subscriber, I have b2.sasi. Let's say I was just hard coding and I was testing here. Hmm. When I'm testing this. So let's say I have added this as a subscriber key in my all subscriber. When I tested with this flow, and I have already had b2.sasi at gmail.com as a subscriber key, it was executing properly, no error was. So what you'll get a message, this will be the message. So let's make this even simpler. Okay, so b2.sasi and yeah. So what will happen if I do, if this user is present? So I'm getting this value. How am I getting this value? I'll explain this one as well. I have this status code. So this status code, wait a minute. First one is the status code. Yeah. So this status code will give you okay. So